folks, welcome you all to yet another podcast of mine. And yes, I am either fooling you all and posting this on Friday, but it is in fact Thursday. Again, people, again. Because I keep saying this, I have so much holiday time that I'm trying to pick away at it a little bit at a time. So much like last week, I decided, you know what, I'm going to have a cheeky Friday off and have a long weekend. I mean, I've still got 5 weeks of holiday to take. I've not taken any of my quota for this year, and I need to start taking it. So, I think in the coming number of months, it'll be a week off here and a couple of weeks there probably. I tend not to take 2-week breaks an awful lot. Usually, it's a week here and a week there. I think I just prefer it that way. It's different if you're going away, I think, but I did have a 3-week break, I think it was, pre-Christmas. I had a 2-week break and I extended it to 3 just to get rid of all my time from the previous year and stuff like that, and all sorts of toil and things I'd clocked up. But I tend not to take big lumps of break like that. I usually take a week at a time. But I think in this particular case, I can either take a week off a month at this point or or take a couple of weeks here and there. So we'll see how it pans out, people. But it'll all be good news for you because I can't bloody go anywhere anyway. So it'll just be a whole bunch of recording and all sorts of things. Loads of content going up and all that sort of stuff. Flaggins up to you all, people. It's Flaggins up Thursday. Again. I don't know, people. You've been spoiled this week and we'll get into it. I'm going to have a sip of this for you. First one, best one. Always the way. Now, we are going to be talking about all things Nintendo Direct, people, but I'm not going to go in depth about all of the things because I'm not a massive brainiac on all things Nintendo. I have my faves of the Nintendo universe, if you like, but I'm not by any stretch of the imagination someone that knows about any of these about a lot of these games that we're about to talk about. However, like we always do, we're going to talk. So it's all about this, people. It's all about this, and this is the first time that I've actually touched this thing, other than dusting it, for probably about a year and a half, maybe something like that. I mean, I spent some time with it, and I tend not to play it like this. I tend to play it on the big screen. And you know what? It is a beautiful piece of kit. You can feel the quality in it. It's absolutely fantastic. It's really, really nice. But it's just, I don't know. I just don't find myself there. And I think because Zelda hooked me for a little while, but because of the weapon system was just utter bollocks as far as I'm concerned. If they'd had a decent weapon sort of loot system in it, I would have been far more into it, like I am with Immortals Phoenix Rising. Like loot, like, oh, that's cool, oh, that's really smart. But instead it was like another branch that lasts me for 5 hits and then another twig that lasts me for 5 hits, and I just couldn't be bothered with it. It wasn't exciting me. But a very beautiful game. Also, and I'm sure it plays much better on the little screen, but on the big screen, it was very much a sticky experience for me. It was only just managing its 30 frames per second in that big open world. Gorgeous game, but Anyway, we shall get into it all, people. So, as always, shall we kick off with a little bit of what we've been doing this week? I mean, I've had a good week, actually. Work-wise has been great. I've been managing to crack on with, well, to be fair, it's been much the same as the week before. It's been sort of bits and bobs here and there rather than any straight development to get anything major done, but successful nonetheless in lots of little things that needed tidied up and cleaned up. So work's been good. And record wise, I've been hammering the recordings for you guys. I mean, your content level this week has been as high as it was pre-Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, you've been getting, I think the only day you got one video was Monday, possibly, where you got a Skyrim, and then from every day on, I think you've had 2, something like that. So basically, every day you're getting a Skyrim in the morning, well, depending on where you are, but you get a Skyrim first. In this country, it's in the morning at 8 a.m, and then you get a 1 a.m. Immortals Phoenix Rising. And that's been happening certainly yesterday, today, tomorrow, and Saturday. That will be true. Sunday, at the moment, you've got a Skyrim at 8 a.m. in the morning, and on Monday, you've got another Skyrim, and on Tuesday, there is another one. I've yet to upload it, but it's ready. So Skyrims are done all the way through to Tuesday, and I was going to record some more Phoenix Rising tonight, but I've decided to do this with a little flagon tonight instead, which means most likely we're going to be recording more Immortals Phoenix Rising on Saturday. So you'll already have had a Phoenix Rising on Saturday when I start recording more on Saturday, so there's a high likelihood that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you're going to have more Immortals Phoenix Rising. So content-wise, I realise, of course, it's not the content that everybody wants, you know what I mean? But to be doing 2 full playthroughs and Let's Plays at the moment on 2 open world RPGs, I think we're doing pretty well, people. And I've settled on 2 that seem to be very popular for my channel. They're keeping the numbers up. And I know I talked about being slightly disappointed if each episode doesn't reach 100, but when I look at it retrospectively, I think I'm being a bit harsh on myself, because if you look at any of my previous Let's Plays, I think to keep people for a long period of time, I think they've always been lower than what we're getting. So, you know, I think if we can hit the 50 mark in most of those videos, I think I'll be more than happy. You know, in the world of YouTube, that's not much, but to me, in my little channel, that's fantastic. So we'll see how we go, but keep smacking those thumbs ups on them, people, because the minute I see those thumbs ups go down, I'll start waning. So just I'm well into it for you. Just keep telling me with those thumbs ups that you want more, and I'll keep hammering away at them. I still have every intention of going back to the Kingdoms of Amalur and even a bit of Dark Souls 3, you know, and the other things that we were cracking on with. I'd like to see through at some point. So yeah, so content wise, we've been cracking on well this week. Really chuffed with that. And every intention of doing the same through the weekend and into next week, people. So there you go. And, well, channel-wise, that's probably all we've got to talk about, because, you know, other than that, we've been doing the regular weekly flagons up. Well, Thursdays as they are at the minute. I think we've had a Saturday, a Friday, a Friday, a Saturday, and 2 Thursdays or something like that, you know. Might be the other way around. Right, shall we talk about Nintendo Direct, people? I mean, this episode is pretty much all about that, but it's not just about the Direct. It's about my thoughts and opinions of key things in the Nintendo Direct, but also a little bit of me flashing back to things that I think are awesome, and, you know, history of me gaming with things Nintendo. So there's it'll be a bit of a mix-up of what we're talking about. Whether or not I actually show footage of any of this stuff, I'm not I hate putting podcasts up where it's just me and there's no footage or anything. I think it's fair enough. You know, you think when you watch stuff like Podcast Unlocked but you know, kind of funny stuff, they don't always put footage up, but there's more than one person on screen, you know, and it kind of, when it's just me on screen, I'm always reluctant just to have me with no interest going on in the background. Now, the problem with Nintendo stuff is that historically, whenever I've grabbed stuff from the Nintendo Direct clips or any Nintendo movie clips or anything like that, it immediately just gets copyrighted the minute I throw it up. And even when I put forward a fair use notice, it usually comes back declined as we don't care that it's fair use, you're not getting to show it. And it's like, well, I can show it, but I can't monetize the video. So it's a bit frustrating, and that's even with the sound down and everything. So I don't know. By the time you're watching this, you'll know whether I've made my mind up as to whether or not I'll put clips up. I mean, for the amount of views I get, it's not the end of the world, you know what I mean? But, and it's always nicer to have that flow of what I'm talking about sort of flying through, just some interest to look at while I'm rambling on, people. So I think what we'll do is I'm going to quickly rattle through all of the things that were announced. I'm just going to give you names and I'm going to give you dates, and then we'll probably bounce back after that. Old man glasses time, people. Hello. Have you noticed? Hey? Theme t-shirt, people. Hey? You don't get that on every channel. Get it on some, but not on. So here we go. So let's crack through. I'm not saying this is absolutely everything, but it's near as damn it. Okay, and it's not in any particular order either. So, okay, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about this one more in depth. But Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword HD is coming to the Switch on July 16th with themed Joy-Cons, which got a lot of A lot of people very excited. Splatoon 3 coming in 2022. That was the very last thing that they showed off in the whole presentation. And it wasn't even, you didn't even get gameplay footage. You just got sort of in-game footage, but not, well, it said not gameplay footage. You know what I mean? It wasn't what you would be playing. It's just like a movie trailer, whether it was in engine or whatever. But it wasn't any gameplay footage of it. And so Splatoon 3 in 2022, Mario Golf Super Rush, June 25th. I mean, to be fair to Nintendo, they've got a shit ton of stuff coming out this year. I mean, if you compare this to the other consoles, I mean, they've got a lot of stuff coming out. Mario Golf Super Rush. I mean, when they first started showing this, I'm saying this. I've said now that I'm going to rattle through the list and not talk about it, but I am going to talk about certain things as I go through it. It's just the bigger ones I want to come back and talk to later on. So we're going to come back to Zelda, don't you worry. We're going to be talking all about that. But the thing with Mario is, like, I love Nintendo for the fact that nobody does children's games and does that children's market as well as Nintendo do. They know that they're going to make those games. They know the audience they're aiming at. They know that they're going to, that there is no other platform gives children the amount of fun stuff at that level that Nintendo do. It's absolutely fantastic. And yet, those very same games get adults hooked as well. So, and Mario games is one of those sort of realms of game. I mean, there's lots of different types of them. You've got Mario Kart, Super Mario Brothers, Mario, 64, but Mario, platformer type stuff. And in this case, we're talking Mario Golf, right? So when it first started showing the clip, it was like, well, yeah, Mario Golf. And it looked like just a golf game with the Mario characters hitting the golf club. And I thought, well, that is fine, I suppose, it makes it fun. But then it just turned into this whole other thing where you've got all these different other types of... So you can play a normal game of golf if that's what you want to do, but you can do the sort of the Super Rush element of it, which is basically a race against all the other players. So you've got to play all the holes as quickly as possible, put on the hole, and keep going, and see at the end who's got the fastest time with the best score and all that sort of stuff. And it was just chaos. It looked so much fun. I was really impressed with it, actually. I thought that's something that could have just been for any other studio that would try and use other characters and just punt them into any type of game, like Mario Tennis, Mario, golf, Mario Football, Mario, and it would just be the same as every other game, but with those characters in it. That's not what Nintendo do. Nintendo don't do that. Nintendo take that idea, give you the basic, and then give you something much, much better on top. I mean, Mario Kart is a prime example of how fun a racing game can be if you put your imagination to it. And there's been lots of mimics and copies of that format. So yeah, really, really. Well, I mean, is it something I would buy and play? Well, no, probably not, because I don't really have a group of players that would play that with me. Or if I had kids, I'd absolutely buy it. I'd play it with them. Well, I've got a kid, but he's 29, people. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? If I had little children, people, I'd be absolutely buying it and playing it with them. This has gone down a bit quick today. I actually sipped far too much of it before I got going. It's the first one, and it's getting empty, people. Right. So Mario Golf Super Rush, June 25th this year, people. I mean, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, that's coming. Well, it was always a given that Fall Guys was going to hit the Switch. I mean, it's primed for it, that's a prime game for the Switch, that. And, online chaos and online fun, that's a massive smash hit of 2020, that game. So, I haven't played it. I've watched footage of it. I can see how much fun it is. And absolutely, an absolute winner for the Switch, that. Is it something I would play? No, it's not my bag, baby. But, great to see it coming onto the Switch. Pyrrha and Mithra from Xenoblade Chronicles joins Super Smash Brothers, so their characters being added to Super Smash Brothers franchise. Outer Wilds is being ported onto the Switch. If I don't give you a date, it's just that there wasn't one from where I picked up the data from. I did watch it live, but I didn't write all this down while I was watching it. I watched it live, and then I kind of copied this off of appropriate websites and stuff. So I've picked up dates wherever I could. Famicom Detective Club to North America, May 14th. And when it says May to North America, I think that means Europe as well. It's a Japanese sort of mystery detective thing. game that's been about for quite a while, but they're now bringing it to the Western world, people. No More Heroes 3... sorry, that's coming on May the 14th. I don't know if I said that already. No More Heroes 3, August 27th. Monster Hunter Rise, which is actually impressive, because this is a full-on new Monster Hunter game by the looks of it. Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch, and it seems to me, I think it might be Switch only. Someone can correct me, but I think it might be. March 26th, that's really close. Stubbs the Zombie Remastered, that's March 16th. Neon White, Plants vs. Zombies, March 19th. Project Triangle Strategy. Now, this is a tactical RPG strategy game by Square Enix, and it had that. I mean, Aaron Brew. I was texting Aaron Brew, my son, while it was all going on. He got super excited when he saw that, and well, the first thing he got super excited about was when they showed the trailer of the Xenoblade characters getting added to. Yeah, hang on, I've lost my train of thought now. Yeah, the Xenoblade characters, Pyrrha and Mithra, when they showed the clip of that, he started blowing off on the phone going, oh my god, like a Xenoblade 3 or whatever the hell. And then suddenly realised it was a Super Smash edition, and he was like, oh no, like massive deflation. And now, see, now I've gone back up my list, I've lost my train of thought. Project Triangle, there we go. And then the next thing he got mega excited about was when he saw this, which was and I think initially when you saw the trailer for this, it was the Project Triangle Strategy, which has no date yet, by the way. But it had a very, very similar vibe and artistic feel as Octopath Traveler, which is a massive hit, massive. I really enjoy that game. I got so far into it and then stopped playing it because I went on to play other stuff on other consoles. But if I was going to go back to the Switch, I would absolutely pick that up because it was a really, really, really big, a really good game. And it had that kind of really clear crystal looking world, but in that sort of 16-bit character model, I think, if I remember rightly. So it was a beautiful game, really, really nicely done. Anyway, he immediately thought that's what it was, but it is a similar type of thing, but it's, well, Octopath is obviously a turn-based RPG. This is a turn-based tactical RPG, so it's more the tactical type of fighting than it is just the standard turn-based stuff from the JRPG stuff. But it looks absolutely gorgeous, and it looked like the art style looked almost identical. So, yeah, I mean, he's super excited to see that coming along. I saw a Star Wars trailer hit, and I was like, "Ooh, what's this?" I just saw the Star Wars characters, and then it said Star Wars Hunters online gameplay, and I was like, "Oh, fucking hell." Never mind, moving swiftly on. So Star Wars Hunters is coming, although I didn't see a date for it. Knockout City, May 21st. This is a dodgeball game, and it actually looked quite fun. And I'm surprised there's not, I mean, there might have been, but I've not seen them, but I'm surprised there's not been some sort of, big hitter title that's done dodgeball before, because it's such a fun game anyway, and it's, well suited for making a game out of digitally. So, yeah, May 21st for that. It looked really, really good fun. Again, if you've got a family and kids and stuff, then, yeah, it might be worth, because it looked like it was multiplayer from that regard. World's End Club, May 28th. Hades, which is like probably the biggest hit of last year, is getting a physical edition for... I don't know if Hades got a physical edition anywhere else, did it? But it's getting a physical edition for the Switch because it's been so popular. And along with the physical edition, it is also getting an art book and a soundtrack, a key that you can download the soundtrack from. I'm not sure if you actually get a physical art book or whether that is also a download, because I've noticed the last few times I've seen digital artwork sort of punted rather than an art book itself. So it'll be interesting to see if that's what it is. I couldn't quite tell from the way it was described if it was a digital download for the art. But certainly for the music, it's a digital download. Anyway, Hades physical edition. Physical release is March 19th. That's really close. Still haven't played that game yet. Aaron says it's one of the best games he's played in a long time. Ninja Gaiden Master Collection. This includes Gaiden Sigma. Well, I'll leave out the word. Well, Ninja Gaiden Sigma. Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. That's the ones that are in it. That's coming June 10th if you're into that sort of thing. Animal Crossing Mario items are being added. Finally. If you're into Animal Crossing, you'll be getting all the Mario bits and bobs to fire into it. I've not seen a date for that either. Apex Legends is arriving on Switch in March 9th. Legend of Mana Remake is 24th of June. Tales from the Borderlands, or as I've typed in here, the Borderlands. I tell you what though, if there's ever games that are really suited to the Switch, it's the Telltale games, isn't it? And frankly, Tales from the Borderlands it's up there as one of the best. I mean, the original Walking Dead game, the original Walking Dead game, the Wolf Among Us game, and Tales from the Borderlands are absolute standouts for the studio that sadly went bust that did those. And if you've not played Tales from the Borderlands, right, and you've looked at it and said, I'm not really into point and click type games like that, honest to God, right, I would tell you just to play that game just for the story and the humour, because you will laugh your ass off for the best part of whatever it was, 5 to 6 hours or whatever, how long it was. Honest to God, the funniest thing I've watched in so long. I was howling all the way through it. It was so good. And people had told me how good it was, and I was like, yeah, whatever. But I'm telling you, if you can't, you will not stop laughing all the way through that game. Wolf Among Us was just extraordinarily hooking. It was just so good. And The Walking Dead is what it is. We know what that vibe's like, but they were just two great games anyway. Really gutted we never got a Wolf Among Us 2. But Tales from the Borderlands is just so much fun, honestly. If you've not played that game and you see it in some form that you can play it, just go get it and play it. So it'll be the best 5-6 hours you've had in a long time. Cheer you right up, people. No More Heroes 3, August 27th. Oh, sorry, Tales from the Borderlands was March 23rd on the Switch, people. March 23rd. Where did we get to? No More Heroes 3, August 27th. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity Expansion 2. Expansion. 2 waves of DLC. One wave coming in June and the other coming in November. So £17.99 in the Queen's good country here, people. So you can work that out in your relevant countries. Bravely Default 2. Now, that's actually one of the ones that stood right out to me. The minute I saw it, I texted Aaron. I said, now that looks really good. And he immediately texted back and said, oh, that's already pre-ordered. So he's well aware of Bravely Default. It absolutely looks right up a JRPG street, but the style of it and everything just looked fantastic, story and everything else. So I may be well tempted to be going for Bravely Default 2. Is it a Switch only thing? It may well be. I don't know. Someone can correct me on that. But if it's not Switch only, I'll probably play it on something else. But if it is Switch only, I'd be very tempted to go and play it on it. Saga Frontier Remastered, April 15th. Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection, February 25th. And DC Superhero Girls Teen Power on June the 4th. I tell you what, I was smirking when I watched the DC Superhero Girls Teen Power thing, because it absolutely looked like a girliest girly game you've ever girlied yourself looking at. It was really girly. And the title does kind of suggest that it would be girly. But I tell you what, it looked bloody fun. It looked really... I thought... I texted Aaron at the time. I said, kids will absolutely love that. It looked absolutely... I mean, it just looked an absolute joy to be messing around with that game. So, yeah, DC Superhero Girls Teen Power. Just looked an absolute blast. So there you go. But it is, by far, the girliest girly game you'll ever girly see your girly eyes see girly. Not that I'm pigeonholing people, but it did look very girly. So there you are. Right, that's all I've got in my big list. So let us, if we can, rewind to the topic that is Zelda, shall we? And the chaos that ensued thereafter. So here's what happened, right? You got the main guy doing the main spraff between the game Why am I having I can't speak, people. I'm having an absolute brain blank. Mind blank. The guy that's in between game show-offs, or whatever we're going to call them, he's doing his little bit talking about this, that, and the next thing. And then he introduces the guy who's clearly involved in the Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. And he immediately says, I know that a lot of you are here hoping to see more news on Breath of the Wild 2. Unfortunately, we don't have any more news to bring you yet. But we are working hard on it, and we're hoping to bring you more details on Breath of the Wild 2 later in the year. And that's absolutely fine. There's no need to be rushing it when you want to make a game as good as those games have ever been. But then he said, however, for all you Zelda fans out there, take a look at this, right? Now, everybody then holds their breath because we all know what's coming. We all know what's coming. A Zelda ported onto Switch. One of the old Zeldas has been ported onto the Switch. Which one did they pick? Skyward Sword. And it's like everyone, I think everybody was just like, for the love of God, of all of them, that's the one we would have wanted last. You know what I mean? Like Ocarina of Time or Wind Waker or, you know what I mean? Any of the others, like, just put them on the damn Switch. What is your problem? It's a no-brainer. Like, you'll coin it in. But no, Skyward Sword is the one that they picked. The one from the Wii U. Probably the least successful of them all, I would think. Anyway, the next part of the calamity was that there's a reason clearly that they've done this, right? They're still trying to punt the Joy-Cons sliding off the Switch, and you can use them as, movable joysticks, so you move, things on the screen move with holding the Joy-Cons. And that, of course, was true of the Wii U and the Wii. But the Skyward Sword one was specifically built to have all this motion stuff. So you were firing the bow like that, you were fishing like that, and I don't know, because I never had a Wii U and I never played that game. And I can't judge the game. I think the game in itself is probably a good Zelda story in game. But I don't think people want to be jumping around firing bows with their arms. And anyway, it's fun for a bit, but then it just becomes, I want to sit down now and I want to play the game. So there's that. So I was waiting for them to say, because they start showing all that stuff first. And he said, of course, we've also built in the ability for you to sit down and play the game with a controller. And I thought, oh, that's great. But instead of doing it the way you would want them to do it, they've gone and done something really weird with I think it was the left stick or something. So you'll be moving yourself around with the right stick, but the left stick, if you push the stick up, your sword goes up, and if you push it down, your sword goes down, and you get the idea. And it's like, why have you done that? I mean, okay, the game may well not need you to pan around, but we all want to pan around now. We don't play games where we don't pan around. Not open world games anyway. So I've no idea how that configuration is going to work. So that means that maybe panning around is the bumper buttons, or I have no idea. Or whether you don't pan around at all, or what is it all about, people? I mean, just make the left stick pan. You know what I mean? And do we need to be swinging up, swinging down, swinging left, swinging right? The problem is, I think because they've designed the game that way initially, it has to be kind of done that way throughout. If the Joy-Con's doing it that way, then you need the stick to do it that way. You can't just have a smash it button. So, I don't know. The whole thing's a bit of a... I mean, I can't... I'm moaning about it to a degree here, but you can't knock it until you've played it, is my point. It's all very well saying what a debacle that is, but you might play it and go, actually, that's quite good fun. Maybe we'll be proved wrong. But so the first point, I mean, Twitter was exploding from what Aaron was telling me. He said that the Nintendo posse had all gone off their heads, like what is this shit? Why didn't we get one of the other Zeldas? What is all this with the controller? What is, And it isn't that people didn't want Skyward Sword. It was just, why that one? And why have you done that with the controller? And, it was just chaos. What did get positive reaction was the Joy-Con controllers that they're releasing with it, which are, Zelda themed. So that got really positive positive vibes. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are looking forward to playing it with the Joy-Cons and stuff, and that's absolutely fine, and, you know, fair play to you, it's fine. But I think when it comes to, you know, RPGs and gamers, I think we want to play them with a controller, and we want to enjoy them in that way without it being some weird button configuration that makes no sense other than, you know, just to be able to swing the sword up, down, left, right. I mean, it's probably not going to feel natural doing that anyway. You know what I mean? I feel like a priest. What's going on? So anyway, it was a right hoo-ha. And I genuinely do not understand why it's taking them so long to port over the Zelda games. Like, there's a little part of me that looks at, let's take Ocarina of Time as an example, right? Well, okay, here's a thing, right? Wind Waker, which was a GameCube game, is probably, well, in fact, Aaron Brew was telling me that he thinks they have actually already HD'd that game because it was going to be put onto Wii U. It was going to be put on the Wii U. I think it was going to be put somewhere else, but it didn't happen for one reason or another, I think. I can't remember now, or it was, but only for a limited period of time. I can't remember, but it's already primed, HD'd, and ready to go from what he was telling me. So why that has not been put onto Switch already is a mystery to me, because that is just prime and ready to go. You'll make a fortune out of it. Then, okay, we can start looking backwards and looking at the other ones. Now, Ocarina of Time is the big one, and you've got the Majora's Mask is the other one, isn't it? Now, Majora's Mask was 3DS, wasn't it? I think. Pretty sure it was. So if Majora's Mask was 3DS, that's surely already in mobile format, probably already HD as well, I think. Maybe. But surely that's an easy port. Got to be. The one that stands out to me that would make the least amount of sense is Ocarina of Time, to simply HD it and throw it on. Because I suspect the other two may be widescreened already. Ocarina of Time most certainly isn't, I don't think. I mean, that is going way back. I mean, Jesus, Aaron was like 6 or something, 6 or 7 when that came out. And that, you know, he's 29 now. So that game, I'm almost positive, is not widescreen. It's not going to be HD, obviously. It's going to be SD. And I just don't think it's going to look great even on the little screen, never mind putting it on a big screen. And there's a massive argument for me for Ocarina of Time to get a proper remake done on it, you know. Not change anything, not, you know, just put through the remake software, you know. Like, give it a proper new skin, keep the level design the same, keep the action stuff the same, but just get a proper new skin on all the characters and widescreen the world, all that sort of stuff. And just, you know, make it as pretty as you can and then bring it on. So it's not really a remaster, it's more of a remake. Pretty much what they've done with Demon's Souls, if you take that as an example. I think Ocarina of Time is crying out for that, because I think people would blow their minds if they said they were doing something like that. That is on, for me, that is on the same caliber of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like, it's on the same excitement level as that for me. Probably higher, actually. If they could make that game, remake that game in today's graphics, I mean, how amazing would that be? You know what I mean? What a fantastic game it was. Ocarina of Time, really, really good. But there's just like this, they've got all of those Zelda games that they port them. I mean, it's a win-win-win-win-win. You cannot lose. The only one I would suggest you would lose with is Ocarina of Time, because I think, I mean, Aaron said to me, he goes, I don't care if it's HD. He goes, just give me it. I want to play it. I've not played it in such a long time because I can't, because it's not on anything that I can play it on. Don't have the Nintendo 64 anymore. I just want to play that game again, and I don't care that it's in SD, and just give me it as it was, and I want to play it again, and that's fine. So, you know, I guess you could maybe do that, but in the meantime, do a remake of it. But why? If it just feels to me like they've got something else in mind for Ocarina of Time. It would have been some. I mean, they haven't pushed it onto any other. I don't think they've pushed it onto anywhere else, have they? It's only ever been on the N64, and I think that says to me that they may have other ideas for it because they know how good that game is, and they know. I don't know. It feels to me like that they've got something in the back of their minds where they want to do something with Ocarina of Time, but. Or maybe it's just, it's constantly going to be. I mean, I don't know. Does anyone argue that it's the best one? I don't. I mean, it's still the best one in my opinion. But anyway, I'd love to see a remake of that game. Jesus Christ, it was so good. Keep everything though. Just visually change it. Just get the new gen visuals on it, and just keep the music, keep the gameplay, keep everything, keep the maps, keep just widescreen the world. I mean, I'd love to see that. Absolutely love it. But it just boggles the mind as to why I mean, okay, I'm saying that. I am being harsh. It doesn't boggle the mind to the point that I get why they've done Skyward Sword, because Skyward Sword was clearly built for a similar environment to the Joy-Cons that you've got now because it was done on the Wii U. So I get it. And I get the fact they're still trying to punt the Joy-Con side of the Switch. So I get why they've done it, but what they've done doesn't relate to what the fans wanted. And you've got to listen to your fans. I mean, it will sell a lot of copies, but it was not as many bloody copies as one of the others would. Wind Waker would have sold way more copies than that, surely to Christ. And Wind Waker's the one that stands out as the completely different style as well, because they went into that little cartoon format, and it was beautiful, that game. It was so gorgeous. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't understand. I understand it only to the point of it was the easiest one to do something with the Joy-Cons with, and that's the only reason they must have had for it. Because, or the Wii U engine is just very close to the Switch engine, and the others are just far harder to get across. But that being the case, though, if it is true that Wind Waker was already, ready to port and done, then why is it so hard to just shove it on the Switch anyway? I don't understand. If Breath of the Wild 2 is so far off that, they're saying that we're only going to update you later on this year. So I don't think you're going to be seeing Breath of the Wild 2 until holidays 2022. So you're looking at a year and a half. If they're talking about updating you at the tail end of this year, I think because I don't think they would release that game. I'm saying that because I think Ocarina of Time was a Christmassy type release. Because I remember we bought it for Aaron's Christmas for him. And I'm almost positive it was just out. Because I had to go out of my way to get a blooming copy at the time. All physical in those days, people. You had to get your hands on a physical copy. So, I'm not sure if there's been any others that have been released that weren't a holiday release. I reckon that I'm my brain and my heart are both telling me it's probably going to be a year this November, maybe something like that, for holiday 2022. And that being the case, if it's so far off, why not punt out the others onto the Switch? As quickly as you can, get part of your team or another studio porting these games over. Give Bluepoint Ocarina of Time. The people that made Demon's Souls 2. Demon's Souls. Remake. Give them, give Bluepoint Ocarina of Time. Tell them, has to play exactly like that. Has to have all the same music. Get new worlds in it. Get a new widescreen on it. Get the new visuals on it. And let Bluepoint do it. I mean, why not? I mean, can you imagine Ocarina of Time in new gen graphics? Bloody awesome. I mean, I realise, we're talking about Switch gen graphics, not what we've just got now with the other two. But even still, you'd still be looking at an Ocarina of Time that looked like Breath of the Wild. Bloody hell, it'd be awesome, wouldn't it? So yeah, I mean, I'm bamboozled as to why they're not doing more with the Zelda franchise. I really am, because it's just a no-brainer for me to port those games onto the Switch. And if you've got no plans to do anything with Ocarina of Time, just let people play it on it anyway. Yeah, it'll be a square screen on it, but so are the Final Fantasies when you play them. So I just don't get it. At all, people. At all. Well, blimey, I think we've covered all of that, people. I think I've got through that quite quick. I mean, that's not bad considering that I tend not to spend a lot of time with with the Switch at the minute and know much about the Nintendo world. But what I can talk about a lot is Zelda, because the Zelda. I mean, back when Aaron was little, there was many. Well, there's things that I hold dear as the time that I spent with him. We've got WWE because it was like the Attitude Era and everything. We used to watch that together. We've got Zelda. We've got Final Fantasy. We've got the Aladdin, the original Aladdin cartoon. There's like little things that are sort of in my heart when it comes to, because they just remind me of being with him when he was little. And Ocarina of Time is just way up there as one of the massive memories. Probably my favorite Christmas ever was waking up on Christmas morning. It must have been about 3 a.m. when he woke up. We went downstairs and we opened up all his presents, and then his mum went back to bed, and me and him just sat there playing Ocarina of Time for about 4 hours before his mum got back up, and then we had to go off and do other things for Christmas Day. But it was just one of those Christmas mornings that I'll remember forever and ever until the day that I close my eyes for the final time, people. It was just such a beautiful Christmas morning, and I don't think any Christmas morning will ever beat it, unless something dramatic changes in my life and I end up with more children or something, because Christmas really is, it's at its best when you've got kids, and or someone extremely special in your life, of course. But children, it's just that certain magic with children, because they still believe in Santa, and this, it's just this glow in their eyes when they see all the presents and stuff. But it's just, to this day, it will be the best Christmas ever. Until the day I die, anyway, I think. But it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, it must have been a good 4 hours we played on it just straight, which was a long time in those days. And it doesn't sound like much now, but in those days, to sit for 4 hours on a on a game, especially like dads will. I think mums are more like, come on now, you've been on that 4 hours, go outside and do something in the fresh air. What I mean? Get away with it at Christmas though, when it's bloody miserable outside, right enough. But get out there on your bike, stop staring at that screen. But yeah, it was just brilliant. But still it will forever be one of my top gaming moments ever. And that was at a time when I didn't game like I do now. Like in those days, I really only gamed heavily with. I always got FIFA. No, I always got Pro Evolution Soccer. Actually, I always got Pro Ev at that point in time. And then, actually, is that true? I think I got FIFA first, and then I got Pro Ev because someone suggested it to me. Then it was Pro Ev all the way up until Pro Ev 5, I want to say. And then thereafter, the FIFA ones actually started matching the gameplay, and that's when I started switching over because they had all the right leagues and. But really, back in the day, the big ones for me was I got the football games every year, and the Lord of the Ring games. The Two Towers game and the Return of the King game, I was on them just non-stop. Absolutely adored those games. I just wish they would do something with those so we can play them on this gen of console. I've got the PS2 in the attic, so I can bring them down and play them. I've got them in my collection. But it would be nice to be able to have those and just play them on, on probably the Xbox would be the most likely place to find them. If they can manage to get it's all to do with the copyright though, because they could easily push them through their back compat system, but then you'll be, whatever the copyright rules are for the music, for the actors, for the, but it's just daft to me, because it's like, well, if they'd always done with consoles what they should have done in the first place, which is every time they made a new one, your old games worked, it wouldn't even be a question. So why is it that because it's got to be run through this back compat software, it's an issue? I don't understand. I don't understand why that's an issue at all. If you were able to just put your disc in and it work, like you could with a lot of the original Xbox games in the 360, then why is it an issue? That's a very good point, actually, because I could, in theory, buy it for the 360 and play it on the 360. But even then, that's still in the attic. The only old-gen console I've got out is the PS3. I've got the PS3 still out and hooked up so I can play it at any time. And then I've got obviously the PS5 and the Series X now. But there's still games like that kicking around that you can't play anywhere else. Well, Lord of the Rings War in the North was another one. Because I played that recently on the channel, about a year ago, I think. I did the full playthrough of that on the PS3 and posted it up. Still there, if you want to watch it. And I loved that game. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. It was sort of it was a good little RPG looter type game, and it was gorgeous. It looked great. You felt like you were in that world. You met characters from the movies. It was really, really good. I really loved that game. It was great, and it wasn't too open. It was open enough, but you knew it was kind of linear, and there was only so many different ways you could go to get stuff, and then you had to follow the main path to get to where your next point was. It was fantastic, that game. I absolutely loved it. So there you are. Anyway, I'm rambling on, people. I'm going right off topic, aren't I? So there you are. That was Nintendo Direct, people. Nintendo Direct. I suppose we'll get another one toward the tail end of the year. I suspect. I mean, there was a lot in that list. There's a lot coming. I can take these off now, can't I? Why have I kept them on for so long? I feel blind now. Everything's blurry the minute you take your reading glasses off. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot in that list. So it was a good Nintendo Direct as far as I could see. Was there a huge amount in it that I would go out my way for? No, but that's by the by. There was a huge amount in there, though, that I know a lot of people are going to love. And a couple of things in there that I'd be interested in. If Ocarina of Time had come along, or Wind Waker, I would have been very up for buying that and playing that, because I'd love to play those games again. So, and I'm now forgetting what it was, but yeah, the mind blank. Whatever the other one was, I might be tempted to get Brave. What was it? Bravely Default. That's it. Bravely Default 2. Might be quite tempted with that as a bit of a JRPG sort of thing to get your teeth stuck into. It's kind of something I've kind of lost. Lost isn't the right word. It's something I've just kind of drifted away from, and they used to be my go-to games. I mean, Final Fantasy, there wouldn't be a Final Fantasy come out and I didn't play it. But I went off the boil with 15 because, 15, because it just wasn't for me at all. I just didn't get that game. It didn't feel like a Final Fantasy game properly to me. Final Fantasy VII Remake, even though it didn't feel like the same sort of gameplay from a Final Fantasy point of view, I adored it. I fell in love with that game, loved it. So I'm looking forward to that, continuing into a second one of those. But I'm just hoping that the Final Fantasy 16 is going to be right up me alley, people. I'm really, really hoping it is, and get my teeth back into that. But it is nice to see them making the more traditional JRPG ones with the turn-based proper and all that, and that Bravely Default looks like it might quench my thirst. So it'll be interesting to see if I get an itch to buy that when it comes out. Anyway, there you are, people. If I ramble on any more, it'll just be for the sake of it. You know what I'm like. It has been an honour and a privilege serving for you in this podcast of mine, and I will catch you in the next one, folks. Take it easy. Bye.